Yo guys, what's going on? It's Lewis here with Crypto Elite, and I'm going to be doing a Bitcoin breakdown video. It's a technical analysis video. I want to try to do these every day from now on, or I'm going to basically try to do them every single day just so that you can get a glimpse into what I'm looking at, and hopefully it'll help you out too. What I did was I made basically a checklist. So if you look right here, it's basically, you use this checklist to check off your indicators to see if it's a good trade or not. And it basically goes down like what you should do. Draw the trend lines, draw the support and resistance levels, use the Fibonacci, the candlestick psychology, RSI, MACD, moving averages, and then there's this checklist right here. So I'm going to try doing this. This is the first time I'm doing this, but let's see how it works out. Starting off on the weekly, this is what's the first thing that we're supposed to do. Well, higher time frames yield stronger support. So the first thing is to draw the trend line. Is the current trend up or down? Uptrend is less risky to long, and downtrend is less risky to short. Is that the same thing over here? Right. Top-down analysis. Start with the monthly if available. Weekly is fine too because it's such a young market. And then move to the weekly and then the daily, and then fine-tune your lines as you shorten the time period. Remove any unnecessary lines from the daily, and then go to the 4-hour, the 2-hour, and the shorter charts for more pinpoint zones. So this is what we're going to do because this lets you create your long-term zones with the monthly and weekly, and then you can get your intraday zones as well to collect more until you get your long-term trade. So basically, you could use the weekly, for instance, to really hone in on where you want to put, like, for instance, your bigger orders. So you could just check this out, right? Like right here, like you could see there's a lot of support around this area. So perhaps you want to have your bigger orders right around here as opposed to putting in your big longs, up here or up here, So look at the long-term weekly charts first. It gives you a much better picture of where like the big picture is. So let's do that. The first thing, remember it said to draw the trend lines. So let's just draw the trend lines out right now. All right. So you could draw this, but that's only 2 touches. So it's not really the best trend line. What you want to do is at least 3. That's not really the best trend line either. Maybe we could find one if we use this tool right here. Perhaps this is a good one right here. All right, let's zoom in a little bit. And looks pretty good to me. So this is like one possible trend line right here. Make it a little bit thinner. Draw the trend line and the counter trend lines. Is the overall trend bull or bear? Well, what do you think? What do you think just by looking at this on the weekly? Is this bullish or is this bearish? This is most definitely bearish. So it's 100% bearish. Let's connect these two as well. And then you connect them. What you do is you connect them and then you elongate it. So it looks like we have this structure right here. So maybe it'll go down again, come up again, go down again, and just consolidate until we get a breakout to the upside for the next bull run. That's a possibility. Anyway, what's next? Draw a counter trend line. Yeah, it's a pattern. What does the pattern say? Well, the pattern says what I just said. It's descending, looks like a descending wedge, descending triangle. So it's going down, and it'll probably do what I just said. Draw support and resistance levels. Is it closer to support or resistance? If it's closer to the support, you want a long. If it's closer to the resistance, you want a short. Well, let's see here. Draw this out. I already drew it with the rectangle box, but here's the support. This is one support. If you go back here, and this is the most recent support is right here at 5,805. So that's the most recent support. So if you're going to do any really big plays, probably wait until that time. Resistance levels as well. All right, so what's the resistance looking like? Well, there's some resistance right here, you could say. And this was the last resistance, was around 7,381. Really, 7,324 if you want to be more precise. Let's bring it in a little bit. Go to the wick. That could work. All right, so 7,400. So that's the support, that's the resistance, right? Sorry. All right, if it's closer to the support, safer to long. If it broke the support, it's safer to short. If it bounces off the resistance, that is a safer shorting opportunity. If it breaks through the resistance, that's a safer longer opportunity. So it has not. So what happened is it bounced off of the resistance. So if it bounced off the resistance, that's better to short, right? If it bounces off of the support, that's better to long. It's more like a confirmation, basically, that the resistance held up and the support held up. So according to this, there's not really, it's in range right now on the weekly. All right, draw the Fibonacci. Retest of the 78.6 is very common after experiencing new all-time highs. Long-term, unless previous resistance turned to support, is on the 61.8, in which a retrace to 61.8 is more likely. So let's just see what happened so far. Okay, let's take this fib, right? Bring it back. And fuck, sorry guys. All right, so what you do is you take the Fibonacci, draw it from there to there. Where'd this one come to? Well, this one came to around the 78.6, right? And then it bounced up. First, it came to the 38.2, then it bounced up, then went down to the 78.6, bounced up, 78.6, bounced up. And that's what's happened when it's in an uptrend. That's what you want to do. You want to take it from the bottom to the top, and you want to, if it's really bullish, take it from the 38.2. If it's okay, take it from the 61.8. If it's on a crazy uptrend, 78.6 is a good one. 88.6 is also a really good one. When it's on a downtrend, which clearly it's on a downtrend, what you want to do is take it from the top to the bottom. So you could take this one from the top to the bottom, and this is just to show you guys, explanation. I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to go into this much detail in all of the other breakdowns, but this is the first one, so I want to show you. Take it from the top to the bottom and look at where it retraced from around the 61.8, right? Pretty much the exact 61.8 is where it started, is where it bounced up to before coming back down, and then again it bounced up to it before coming back down. And that's what happened on the first run. Let's see what happened on the second one. Take it from the top to the bottom. And this is the 50, so it bounced off the 50. But really, you want to take it from here to here. And it bounced off the 38.2. It's just this is just to show you, to help you recognize that the Fibonacci, honestly, the Fibonacci is my favorite indicator, because Fibonacci is a natural phenomenon, right? I explained this in my course, everything about the Fibonacci, how amazing it is. And it's just an incredible tool, and it's a natural phenomenon, and it happens everywhere in nature, and it also happens in the charts. So the first one, this one is the, as we saw, 61.8 bounced off of. This one bounced off the 38.2. Even if you take it from this high, bounced off the 50. So what happened when this one bounced off of it, from the high to the low? Look at this, 61.8. Again, bounced. It came down and then bounced back off. Came down from the high, bounced off the low, and then which was basically the previous support, and then came back up and was rejected out of the 61.8. This one right here. What if we do this? Top to the bottom. Look at that, 61.8. Every time. This is why it sort of blows my mind, to be honest, you know, how this happens. So once again, you could see actually pinpoint in that golden zone between the 61.8 and the 65 fib is where it was rejected, right? So let's just take the last couple days, for example. This all happened in the last couple days, by the way. So let's take the fib from the top to the bottom. Before we even do that, where do you think it's going to reject from? Well, the last couple rejected from the 61.8. So this one probably going to reject from the 61.8, right? Here's the 61.8. Now, this is sort of bullshit, to be honest. I'm just going to be straight up with you. It's a little bullshit because it was complete manipulation. I'm pretty sure everyone knew, and if actually, hold on, let's connect this trend line right here to make it a little bit more accurate, right? So let's take this trend line and bring it down a little bit, right? So I'm pretty sure everyone knew that right here, excuse me, let me take this off, that right here was the golden ratio, and the golden ratio corresponded exactly with the trend line that was coming down, and we were experiencing a nice bull run, you know, 3 weeks in a row, constant green. So what should you have expected to happen? You should have expected the price to go up to somewhere in this area, somewhere maybe a little bit below it, you know, maybe right around here, to up here. And this is where it should have turned around. Clearly, it didn't. This is where I put my shorts in, but this is where it turned around because, honestly, I think it was a whale or a few whales colluding together and completely manipulating the price. Because if you been paying attention the last couple days, you'd have seen that the shorts completely stacked up insane amounts, and then the longs also started stacking up. So I think like the people colluded, and they went 1 for 1, where it was sort of like a wash, where like they put a lot of shorts in and they put a lot of longs in, and then they just pulled all of the longs off the table, and that made the price drop a lot. And then so they lost on that initial price drop. They didn't get anything, they didn't gain anything from that. But then after the initial price drop, what happens is everyone started freaking out. So then everyone else started selling, and that's when the whales profited from everyone else selling. That's what I think happened, because to me this was a very obvious area to short, and it obviously happened before that. Anyway, that's what you do on the weekly, and now we're right here. So on the weekly time frame, the next place to look at is down at this 5,800 level. Maybe even the 6,000 level. Maybe right here, 5,900, 6,000, 6,100, 6,088. These are all pretty good levels to look at. And this is obviously the resistance. So if it breaks through this resistance, then, we'll have a nice little bull run on our hands again. But it does not look like that will happen at all. So let's go back to this checklist. Draw your expected buyer zone sales with the rectangle tool. We did that. What's the RSI and the MACD look like? Well, the RSI. Is the RSI above 70? It could be a good time to short if it's above 70. You have to be cautious with buying if the RSI is above 70, because that means that it's overbought and it might sell off. If the RSI is under 30, then that could be a great buy. It means that it's oversold, so you're getting it at a discount. And you don't want to really short if it's the RSI is under 30. And also see a bearish or bullish or bearish divergence, then check the other time frames. Could be a good time to short or long. So let's just check that out real quick. Here's the RSI. It is basically in the middle. None of those things apply for the weekly time frame. How about the MACD? Well, the MACD falls below the signal line equals bearish indicator. Good indicator to short. If the MACD crosses on top of the signal line, there's a bullish indicator. Good indicator to long. Is it the top of a W on the histogram? Good indicator to long. What about an M on Instagram? Good indicator to short. Well, looking at the MACD. All right, well, it did, if you could see this, it did just cross over right here. But there are way too many indicators. Well, actually, wait a minute. Nope. Zoom in a little bit. And you'll see that it crossed back over to the bear side. So terrible opportunity to long. You do not want to long here. Might be a good opportunity to short, but I wouldn't short because of a couple things that are happening on the daily, which I'll show you in a second. Anyway, that's basically it. You could also add the moving averages, but the moving averages on the weekly, let's see here, indicators, favorites, moving averages. Here we go. Here's some moving averages. It's below all of the moving averages. It's below all the moving averages, so not a good time to buy. That's for sure. Let me change this right here. All right, there you go. So now we did that on the weekly. Let's go into the daily. What's it looking like? What is it looking like on the daily? Let me take this off. Well, and also let me bring this down and zoom it out a little bit. All right, well, you can see just took a giant downturn. You can't draw a trend line right here, right? Like, it's too down. If you were to try to draw a trend line right here, wouldn't work. Counter trend wouldn't work. Maybe this doesn't really work, right? So trend lines are sort of out of the picture. Let's zoom in a little bit. Where's the other support and resistance levels, right? So we did the trend line, counter trend line, couldn't do that, support and resistance levels. Well, we're at a pretty good support right now. All of this right here, all of this is pretty decent support, right? Just got to look left. Even right here, you can see it's all pretty good support. Even if we zoom back a little bit, yeah, all of that's good support, right? It's not the most ideal support. The most ideal support is still, still down here. So probably around this area, right? 5,800. That's the most ideal support to get into. What was the next one? Was the Fibonacci. Well, what did we just say? Fibonacci. We saw it got rejected right below the 61.8, and it came back down. So now what we're gonna do is this right here. It got rejected a little bit below 61.8 down here. Let's just take this, from the top to the bottom, right? So you got to ask yourself, what do you think is going to happen? You got some nice wick right here, nice rejections, right? So where do you think it's going to go? Well, if it's on the support, here's an option. If it's on the support, what can happen if we get this right here? What could happen is it could come up, hit the 38.2 before coming back down again, right? That's an option. it could come up and hit the 61.8 before coming back down again. That's an option. It could come up, hit the 61.8, and then we trace back to the 38.2 before coming back up right there. That's another option. So those are pretty much 3 options right now. So if this was the bottom. Now also ask, does the RSI and what is the RSI and what does the MACD show? Well, the RSI shows that it's pretty low right now, and the MACD shows that it's about to continue down on a downtrend. So in my opinion, it's probably going to come back up, hit the 38.2, and then possibly go back down because the MACD is looking pretty bearish. The RSI is not in the oversold territory or the overbought territory either. So this is the information we have right now. So now that we have the weekly, we have the daily, let's go down into the 4-hour and see where it stands. And holy crap, that just looks ridiculous, right? So this is on the 4-hour chart. And what do we know? We know that we're in a downtrend. We know that we are currently continuing to hit support part, which is inside of the support zone right here because we labeled it, and this is all the supports, right? So we keep on hitting this. So it's probably going to come back up because Fibonacci usually respects the fib. And we know that in downtrends, it usually doesn't come all the way back up to the 61.8. Like that's on a downtrend. If it's like in a pretty big move, it usually comes back up to the 38.2 before coming back down, right? So that's what I'm thinking the game plan is coming up here and then bouncing off. Okay, so here's something now. And maybe I'll do this. For swing trades, trade with the trend. Always trade with the trend, right? When you're doing swing trades. So right now, the trend is negative. It's down, right? It's in a downtrend. So what you want to do is you want to add to your short positions on the bounces every time it bounces up. This is just how, like on an uptrend, you want to buy the dip, right? On a downtrend, you want to buy the, spike up. It's more risky. Shorting is more riskier, but it just is another way for you to get profits and to profit off of the downtrends, right? Instead of simply just selling out and then buying back in when it dips. You could look at the trend and then short on the downtrend, right? This is for the swing trades that last, they could last a couple days, maybe longer, maybe a couple weeks if you want to hold it and not really look at it too much, or longer, who knows? But that's what you want to do with swing trades, right? For day trades, for scalping, all right, I'm not that big of a fan of scalping. I'm not sure if I'm going to continue scalping or not, but it is extremely popular right now, especially with BitMEX being the way it is. So to scalp, what you would do is sort of the opposite. Instead of trading with the trend, the strategy that I'm learning is to trade opposite of the trend. So basically what you would do is you would put in a quick long position somewhere down here, right? And you would aim for maybe 1% gain, right? So you would put in a long position down here, and you would 1 to 2% max, right? So like that's it. That's what you would do, and then you would take your profits, and that's how you do a long. That's how you do like a scalp. Obviously, there's a lot more details. So let me just go into that a little bit more. Actually, I'm not really going to go too much more into that right now because it's going to be a long ass video. But let's just keep on going through this, this process, right? So now we're in the 4 hour. We did the weekly, we did the daily. Let's do the 4 hour. So the 4 hour, what's going on? Trend line, obviously we're in a downtrend. You could also tell that we're in a downtrend because the moving averages crossed over, right? And I'm using the Filicone strategy, but I actually just changed it up to a little bit. I changed it from the Fibonacci 8, 13, 21, 55, 100, 200, and I'm going to change it to the 8, 20, 40, 50, 100, 200. Not too much of a difference, but 2040 is a pretty good two good EMAs, So because 2040 is used in a lot of trending assets or trending commodities and securities and things like that have a lot of things to do with the news, apparently. So it's good for Bitcoin, and so I have them right here, and when it's below it, that's negative, that's bearish, right? When it's above it, like you could see it's been above it, crossed over here and started going above it, that's pretty bullish, right? So that's the EMA, but you can't really draw the trend. I guess you could draw the trend line. So let's draw the trend, right here, the trend line is the support and resistance, right? Like that's what it is. So it's range bound right now. So basically it's range bound. It's pretty much range bound between 65, 15 and 63.40. So maybe if you want to, scalp between this level and this level, that's a possibility. You could just do that until there's some sort of breakout, and if you long down here, and then you should short right here, but if you just keep on going and it breaks out, then maybe you could ride it up to this level as well for another couple percentage gains. But until it either breaks out of here or breaks down from here, like that's what we're really waiting for. The 382 is really the next level that I'm looking at. This is pretty much the area to short at. Actually, not this area exactly. It's because this isn't perfect. This area right here, yeah, 6,700 actually. Wow. All right, so 6,700 basically to the dot is a really good shorting opportunity. So let's bring this in. Take the rectangle box, go like this right here. And why is this? It's a good shorting opportunity, not just because it's probably what's gonna come up and bounce off of. Look for other confluences, right? All of this, even right here, this is a rejection. So much rejections coming from this area, right? So it just seems so. It's a good place to set some shorts. So. Can we actually do that with this? I don't think we can. So let's bring in the text. Great, or let's say prime shorting zone. Prime shorting zone is in this area right here, right? So if you're gonna stack some orders, you could stack a few orders in, starting around this level, maybe one here, maybe one here, maybe one here. And you could just stack up your shorts, going from increasing the buying power for the amount of capital each time, as it raises up. And hopefully you'll catch like a wick or something that'll come up here before coming back down. That's one possibility. Remember, it also could go all the way up, like we mentioned, to the 618, and then come back down to 38.2. So if that's the case, where do you want to put your stop loss? Well, I would probably put my stop loss, right around here in case it just keeps on going up, you know, and that way you won't lose out an extra, you know, 3%. And if you're quick enough with it, you could probably short up there as well. Of course, if you did short at this area, then that would be a quicker short because it would sort of turn the tides in the favor, at least short term, into bulls. So you would short right here and then long, you know, right here. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it. So just to recap everything, quick recap. Back on the weekly, we're in this downward movement right here. It's pretty bearish. If you want to go long on a big money swing trade, I would honestly wait until we're around 6,000 to start stacking it in. Maybe I'd put one in around 6,200. And then a couple more in around 6,000, 5,800, possibly 5,600. You know, it could keep on going down. You know, even, I mean, this to me seems out of the question, but it is a possibility. Nothing, you know, it's crypto, you know, you never know what could happen. Although this formation always does seem to, like, if you look at it like this, you know, I guess you could sort of look at it like something like this, you know, something like a falling wedge, right? Before it jumps out. Then if that's the case, you know, how far down does it go? Could go down pretty far, right? That is a possibility. That's why I still haven't thrown in my like quote unquote larger investments yet. I've only thrown in enough just for some swing trading and some day trading. But most of my big stuff, you know, I'm thinking like an institution here. I'm not gonna buy at these levels a lot. I'm gonna buy a little bit, right? Like I put 10% in, 5% in, 5% in, 5% in. But like down here is where I'm gonna really put it all in. I'll be extremely comfortable putting anything in below 6,200, to be honest. I'm comfortable with that because I know that Bitcoin is going to eventually reach all the way up, you know, here to 3,400. First 25, and then probably 34, and then probably 60, and then 100. And it's going to keep on going up because the inherent nature of Bitcoin is deflationary, which means that the price will continue to rise. It's the opposite of inflationary, like the US dollar, which continues to lower in value. Anyway, that's the big picture for that. And then obviously for bringing it in for the daily, we did get this huge rejection, and it came a little bit early, sort of annoying. But still, now what happened is it looks like we found some support right here, and right now we are range bound between here and here. You can see it better on the 4 hour, right? Right now we're range bound between here and here. If you want to try to just like day trade between here and here, that's an option. You could long at the next support right here, and then come back up to either 38.2, which is what I recommend. I would recommend taking profit at the 38.2. And then if it busts through there, you could long again for the 61.8, and then short here at the 61.8, and then, you know, long again down here. But I think it's probably going to do, you know, something like that, and then sort of keep on coming down. You know, who knows how far down it's going to go, but that's my analysis. Right now, RSI is looking pretty good, so might be a good opportunity to long. I would still wait until it comes down here. And then MACD's looking like it might want to cross over soon. Still hasn't yet. So anyway, that was this breakdown. I'm going to try to make this an everyday occurrence, and obviously I'm going to break it down to the point where it gets down to maybe 10 minutes, you know, 5 to 15 minutes. maybe 20 minutes, for the breakdown for Bitcoin. And eventually I want to have a breakdown for Bitcoin, XRP, ADA, IOTA, possibly Polymath, GVT, Icon, and any other ones, ZRX, any other ones that I am pretty bullish on overall and want to see go. I might start trading EOS as well, and I don't know about Tron, but like it is a good thing to trade if you know what you're doing. So maybe I'll start doing that as well. Anyway, that's my breakdown, and I'm gonna make another video right now too. Just going over a few more things. So it is September 7th around 2:30, 2:15, 2:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. All right, see y'all later.